call of the Hawks can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
What's up, everybody? Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas here with a special edition of the Pod at the Palace for you. A little bit of breaking news on this Friday, and you know what that means. John Calipari's back in his bag. A McDonald's bag, in this case, actually, and the future just got a whole lot brighter for Razorback basketball. Arkansas has landed the commitment of class of 2026 five-star guard, the nation's number 2 overall prospect, Jordan Smith Jr. It's officially official, my friends, and it's been a long time coming. Absolutely massive news, and a statement went on the recruiting trail as the Hogs beat out the likes of Duke, Kentucky, Georgetown, Syracuse, and Indiana for one of the most coveted prizes in the high school class. This is a big deal, people. I guess, for all the haters out there, Cal must have found his fastball again, because we were told that he lost it. Well, he had to find it to get this kid. Using 24/7's rankings, and I think they do the best job by far evaluating high school talent. Jordan Smith Jr. is the highest ranked commit for John Calipari since he nabbed Skal Labossiere in 2015. That's a throwback name for you right there. The year before that, he got Karl Anthony Towns. Both of those guys were number 2 overall as well. It's another burger boy for John Calipari. It's another burger boy for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Jordan Smith Jr., let's add him to the collection here. He becomes the 25th McDonald's All-American in program history. He joins his future teammate, J.J. Andrews, the guy who he's replacing in Darius Acuff, Malik Thomas, Carter Knox, Boogie Fland, all from the Calipari era alone. He just got here, by the way. And, of course, we'll never forget our dear friend Bayfall. Am I right? Man, oh, man. Really good stuff here for the Razorbacks. I'm excited about it. How long have we been talking about Jordan Smith Jr.? Honestly, the better part of a year, probably. It felt like if the Pod at the Palace wasn't a transfer portal show back in the spring and summer, it was a Jordan Smith Jr. show. Honestly, I mean, he's been priority number 1 for John Calipari and this staff in this class from the jump. And even as they covered all their bases during the recruiting cycle with Brandon McCoy and Caleb Holt and Tate Kinney, all those guys came and visited campus as targets on the board, Smith has been the bullseye. And I actually have it on good authority that John Calipari fancies himself a game of darts. He hit his target right here with this one. We're going to talk about Jordan Smith's game and what makes him such a special and unique player here shortly. But I want to start here with how this all played out, because I do think it's super, super notable, right? Because there's multiple ways to spin a narrative out there if you want to. Jordan Smith Jr. for a long time was believed to be Duke bound. Other schools were pushing, other schools made an impression, but the dude was going to wind up a blue blood with the Blue Devils. Now, we've pushed back on that pretty firmly here on this show for quite some time now, but there are very justifiable reasons for why people came to that conclusion, right? His high school, John Paul VI, it was basically a feeder program for Duke over the years. Multiple teammates of Jordan Smith Jr.'s over there. John Shire, credit to him, an elite high school recruiter that has been heavy on Jordan Smith Jr. for the longest. Now, Duke wound up landing a commitment from another 5-star point guard in Darren Rippey a few weeks ago. So you might be told, well, they chose Rippey over Jordan Smith Jr., or they passed on JSJ. That is not the case, as they continue to actively recruit and try to sell him on the duo playing together after the fact. I could just as easily say that Duke saw the writing on the wall in this case, took the bird in hand, because Arkansas has been picking up steam and building momentum here in this recruitment for a while. Make no mistake, Arkansas won this recruitment. They were the first choice, not the consolation prize in this case. Now, there's no doubt that stuff we just talked about, it impacted their chances, because the truth is Jordan Smith Jr.'s pro future is as a lead guard. Even if he isn't a true point guard right now, and we'll talk about that in a bit, but he has to be able to showcase that, and adding the top point guard in the class alongside him was going to be a tough sell, especially when Duke stands to reason they might return more pieces in their current backcourt than Arkansas will. A little bit of a crowded room in there. There were also some rumblings about some hesitation from Jordan Smith Jr.'s camp over some broken promises that were made to Darren Harris, one of his former teammates who will probably be portal bound out of Duke after this season. Regardless, you know where there were no red flags You know where there were no sticking points? Arkansas. It was always right there in front of you. Nobody just wanted to believe it. Everything John Calipari has been selling is exactly what Jordan Smith Jr. needs to be buying. And in the end, he did. Getting this kid to shut down his recruitment now is notable because he'd been very, very upfront about wanting to wait until the spring to make a decision, wanted to see how rosters are shaping up in the portal because he doesn't want to sign somewhere and then all of a sudden they go and spend $4 or $5 million on a couple transfers at his position. And then it gets awkward, right? And that's not ducking smoke. That's making the best decision for yourself and prioritizing who prioritizes you. For example, that's why Kentucky was a finalist, but they were never a real player in the game here because that's what they do. They'll get a couple high school kids, then they'll go get 11 transfers out of the portal. That kind of method doesn't work, but it makes perfect sense if you're going to shut it down early that you do it if you want to go play for John Calipari because he is as loyal and committed to his freshmen as any coach in the country. Some would say loyal to a fault. This year for Arkansas, you think it's a beautiful thing, but the fact of the matter is, and he says it all the time, he is going to do this with the young guys, the freshmen, the high school kids, the youngsters. And it's not that he hasn't adapted to the times here. He'll go out and give a couple transfers. They'll get their transfer big men this season, but he fancies himself. They call him a John Calipari guard for a reason, right? The one and done freshman. That's where he's made his money his entire career. And now he's got another one. It's really interesting, you know. This has always been this way. But think about it even here in the present. Honestly, the man didn't even entertain trying to bring Boogie Flan back because he bet on Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas coming in here. I think that speaks volumes to a guy like Jordan Smith Jr. or some of these other freshmen that Arkansas has. There's no need to wait until March or April because you don't have to worry about Cal oversaturating his roster with too many mouths to feed. In fact, he does the opposite. Sometimes he doesn't get enough. We're learning that in real time as Arkansas has been navigating the last couple games with 6 players out there, right? He's not going to get bloodthirsty for some sexy transfer guard or skirt the rules for some G League dropout just because Nate Oates is going and getting guys in April, right? Or Stephen Pearl's out there picking up the Keyshawn Halls of the world. He has a plan and he sticks to it. And his plan now is that Jordan Smith Jr. can walk into Arkansas knowing that he can follow the blueprint of just a never-ending list of great Calipari guards. And make no mistake, he's going to be one of them. But what he wants to do is, it's playing out right in front of him in real time with Darius Acuff. There is no better example for the path here for Jordan Smith Jr. to reach his goals and achieve his dreams than the dude who's doing it in his position right in front of him right now. Darius Acuff, who will leave here a lottery pick and be replaced by what should be a future one. Talk about a pipeline. You love to see it. Cal lets his young guys rock. We know this. And he's going to form the roster around that through some retention, through the portal in the front court. We call Jordan Smith Jr. the Darius Acuff replacement. I don't use that phrase lightly. I get it. There's really no replacing Darius Acuff. He's special. He's going to finish as arguably the best freshman to ever come through Arkansas. But Jordan Smith Jr. is as close as you are going to get. And he's going to have a massive impact on winning in this program immediately. And that's where the excitement starts with the way that he plays. If you ask anyone who has watched Jordan Smith Jr. play basketball over the course of the last several years, 2 words are going to come right off the top. Dog, competitor. Those 2. His impact on winning basketball is rivaled by nobody else in his class. He is relentless. And if you go back in the archives, you're going to hear me go on and on and on about it from the EYBL season. In fact, I may go back and put together a montage of Pot at the Palace glazing sessions of Jordan Smith Jr. that we've had. Have been so impressed with him from start to finish because he's just such a relentless competitor. There's something refreshing about it. You think about all the things that you like about Billy Richmond, he brings that to the table. He's that kind of dog. And if you agree that, with what Cal says about Darius Acuff, that he's a beast, and he is, wait until you get a look at this kid. Jordan Smith Jr., I'm telling you, freak of nature, check. Physical specimen, check. Big, broad shoulders. If Acuff looks like a safety, Jordan Smith Jr. is dang near a linebacker. It's ridiculous. And if you hear that faint, pathetic little whimper in the background right now, it's the draft nerds on Twitter with tears rolling down their cheeks, ready to do it all over again, like they've been doing with Acuff this year. Oh, but he's 6'2". Stop it. All right. He's got a 6'9" wingspan. He's 200 pounds chiseled out of granite right now, and he jumps like Russell Westbrook. All right. Jordan Smith Jr. is going to be just fine. His game, his mannerisms, the way he moves actually remind me a lot of like a 6'2" Kawhi Leonard, which would be fun. I've seen a lot of Eric Bledsoe comps fitting with John Calipari. I actually like that a lot as well. I don't think it's a stretch at all to say that Jordan Smith Jr. is the best defender in the 2026 class. I'll tell you this, he clears anyone on Arkansas's roster right now. If he was on Arkansas's team this season, he would be their best defender. He's too strong and physical to get bumped out of position. He picks you up and guards you 94 feet. He's hard to pass around. He's deceptive to shoot over because his length sneaks up on you. And don't you dare pause me for that either, as we're discussing greatness here, okay? The jokes aside, the man lives in the passing lanes. He's a deflection waiting to happen, and he's not going to be barbecue chicken in there in the paint like Arkansas's current guards when they get left out to dry switching on to forwards. How many times have we seen that bite the Hogs this year? Hell, start him on a power forward if you want to. He can legit guard 1 through 4 out there. He's going to be one of the best rebounding guards that Arkansas's had in quite some time. Now, offensively, with Jordan Smith Jr., in my opinion, this is where it gets scary because his evolution, his development, it's been fast-tracking in a hurry during his senior season. He's making a lot of progress in a short amount of time. He profiled as one of those transition nightmares. And we'll play some highlights here in a minute, but, just downhill power guard, and ones, free throws, pull-ups, crazy offensive rebounding rate for a lead guard, by the way. And that's how he feasted on the EYBL. And make no mistake, he feasted. Averaged 20 points per game, over 7 boards per game, over 4 assists per game. His passing is a part of his game that has been evolving and needs to continue to as he gets into the SEC. He had 46 steals in 19 games on the circuit. Nasty work. 1.8 blocks per game as well. He literally does it all out there. He's going to be a stocks monster in the box score. Yeah, I think about the stat that I threw out there after who the heck did Arkansas just play? LSU game, where the only player to rank top 10 in the SEC in blocks, steals, and rebounding is Trevin Brazile, all 6'10" of them with a 7'4" wingspan. Call me crazy. Jordan Smith Jr. could legitimately do that next year as a point guard, as a combo guard. It's crazy. His high school team throws it into him on the block or, at the elbow in the high post. They just let him go to work. They let him face up and go to work in there, and he can score on a 6'10" dude if he needs to. You don't see that too often with, a guy that plays this position, but he's just built different, man. Insanely bouncy. He's got to have a 40-inch vertical. He gets put back dunks like, Nick Pringle. Remember that one he got against LSU? But he's nearly a foot shorter than him. He casually jumps higher than everyone else in the gym. I can't count how many times I've seen Jordan Smith Jr. sky for an offensive rebound, land, and then immediately explode up with 2 feet, dunk it with 2 hands. No gather, no stepping into it. It's like a pogo stick. It's crazy. And again, I'll play some highlights before we get out of here, but you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, and you're going to see plenty of it at Bud Walton Arena. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch. The offensive ceiling, and by the way, I've got his scouting report pulled up from Adam Finkelstein at 24/7. I just think he does a fantastic job. Some really good stuff in there. If you can read and listen at the same time, you're a better multitasker than me, but it's there for you if you want it. But the offensive ceiling for Jordan was always about the shot and how it's going to develop. Still a work in progress, but he's absolutely making progress. 57% from the field overall, but he was just 8 of 31 from 3 over the summer on the EYBL. He's about 70% on his free throws. Well, if you've been paying attention to his high school season, the 3 ball's been really coming along nicely, and that's a huge development here. It feels like every week I hop on Twitter, I see a new video. Jordan Smith Jr. hits 5 threes in a row. Jordan Smith Jr. with 7 threes in this game. Great. I love it. Now, I don't know that he's going to be the type of shooter that Darius Acuff is, for example. I'm not going to be projecting that, but it is worth noting that Acuff shot sub 30% his last EYBL season and then also his senior season of high school from 3. You guys remember us talking about it, and look at him now, right? So a huge jump is not something that would be unprecedented here. Let's check out just a quick clip of highlights from the newest Razorback commit, Jordan Smith Jr. Sit back, relax, enjoy, and it's about a minute, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay, so what are the first things that you notice there when you see that? First, big, broad shoulders, super long arms, built like a freight train in there. That is an SEC-ready body, right? You love to see it. The other thing, I love how he finishes above the rim. Nothing I like better than a guard that you can that can throw lobs to you and you can throw lobs to him. You love it. Used to have that for Anthony Black, but he was 6'7" as a point guard, right? You can see the jumper there. A ton of improvement. I will do this because we'll have time on the Pod at the Palace, heck, all spring and summer. But look at the way he was shooting it, even in the spring on the EYBL versus the way that he's shooting it now. And you can already see a big difference there with the jump shot. Man, he gets after on the defensive end of the floor, but he's got a mean streak to him. And it's kind of an interesting balance. It's almost a little bit of Acuff mixed with a little bit of Leak because he's got a business-like approach to him. He seems kind of calm, cool, and collected, goes about his business, powerful guard, but then he has these outbursts. And some of the clips that I've been watching, you hear him he's screaming at a ref, and one. But he'll shoulder up. You saw him getting to the chest of one of his defenders. I've seen him talking to guys in there. Great. I love it. Bring me that type of competitor. Bring me 5 of them. Arkansas actually has 3 of them coming in. I'm excited about it. This is going to be the second highest rated high school commit for Arkansas in the modern rankings era once he arrives on campus. Nick Smith Jr. is number 1. He was number 1 overall in his class. Jordan Smith Jr. is number 2 here. NSJ, JSJ, shake hands. There you go. Number 2 in his class, but you got to understand how these rankings work, right? A lot of them are based on your NBA projectables and upside. And it's got to be the balance with production and how you profile as a college player. That's why a lot of people were irritated for a while about where J.J. Andrews was, for example. And a lot of it was they were looking more at the projectables of some of these other guys as opposed to the production that's already there. So Tyron Stokes is number 1, right? Tyron Stokes might have NBA franchises who are, salivating over his size and his playmaking upside. But if you ask scouts who in the 2026 class will have the biggest impact as a college freshman, most all of them will say Jordan Smith Jr. He is just a winner, and Arkansas is gathering a collection of those here. You got to love the way this class is shaping up, don't you? 3 commitments. All 3 are 5 stars by at least one of the major recruiting services. This is going to put Arkansas comfortably inside the top 5 classes, probably 1 or 2 in most places. I'm guessing they're probably going to be number 1 at Rivals. If my math was right the other day, they're going to be number 5 at 24/7. But the reason why is because Arkansas has 3 in this class, and The schools that were ahead of them, I think, is Duke, Michigan State, Michigan, and maybe Kansas was the other one. They've all got 4 or 5 commitments. So it's a quantity thing. But if you look at it based on average player ranking, then Arkansas is going to be number 1, very, very comfortable. They got some ballers coming in here. And it makes a lot of sense. Jordan Smith Jr., J.J. Andrews, Abdu Toure, all strong, physical, athletic, college-ready, SEC-ready frames. I mean, they're all 3 essentially guards who can defend an SEC 4 without getting pushed around. And with as much as Arkansas likes to switch, that makes them all great fits for what they, schematically, for what they're trying to do over here. All 3 of them very impactful and disruptive on the defensive end of the floor. All 3 of them plus rebounders at their position. So addressing some weaknesses that Arkansas has with this year's roster in a major, major way. All 3 of them are developing shooters, not a sniper necessarily in this group. And they'll need to go get one of those. They'll need a floor spacer at the 4. Maybe you retain some guys, whatever. They'll get their shooting elsewhere. But it doesn't mean that they can't shoot. Make no mistake. We just talked about Jordan Smith and the progress that he's making. J.J. Andrews has been a 35 to 40% guy throughout the entire summer, his high school season, just on lower volume. So it's there with him. How much can he expand on it? Abdu Toure, he's over a couple attempts per game, and he's shooting 40% from 3. So that light has started to come on for him as well. So all these guys are going to be able to make shots, and they're all going to be able to fly and play above the rim and play through contact and be ready for the SEC. We know what that grind is like. And then the other thing, that I like about this group is you can play these guys together at the 1, 2, 3 if you want to. And good luck scoring on Arkansas, by the way, if they opt to do that. Going to be a lot of fun. What's next for the Razorbacks? Well, portal season, right? Arkansas isn't necessarily done with high school recruiting, by the way. You never say that with John Calipari. We were wondering, are they going to add another transfer? Are they going to add another transfer? What's going on? And it turns out in June or July or whenever it was, they wound up adding 2 more freshmen, Elmer and Paolo. But there are a lot of big names still on the board that we need to continue to monitor. I think getting Jordan Smith Jr. most likely puts an end to the Brandon McCoy pursuit for Arkansas. And, everything's subject to change, but that's kind of the vibe. I really think, I don't know, one thing to watch now is probably if Arkansas ramps up its pursuits of some of these other guys. Christian Collins is one that, Arkansas was kicking the tires with. They'd re-engage with. I think he's Eric Musselman bound, actually. Mika Murinen, who feels increasingly likely to be playing college basketball next season. I don't know if would he even be classified as a freshman, because he came over here. He played AAU ball. He was teammates with J.J. Andrews with Brad Beal Elite. He played a year at Campus Prep, and instead of his senior season of high school, he signed a contract and went back. He's from Finland, and he went back overseas. He's been playing for a pro club in Europe. So he'll be eligible to come over. I guess he would technically still be a freshman, but I don't even know if that would go on the high school rankings or not. If he's not a high school kid, doesn't matter. One to keep an eye on. And then we also have to watch the reclass market this spring and summer. And is it going to be spring or summer? Because I think that's going to make a big impact on how heavily engaged Arkansas could be with some of these guys, because they've got to go do their work early with their big men. Think about it. The day after the title game, the portal opens, and it's open for 2 weeks. And that doesn't mean that that's the only time period you can get players, but everybody who is going to become available will come available in those 2 weeks. It's not the 60-day window anymore. It's not the month-long window anymore. You got 2 weeks to do it. And what that means is people are going to be trying to put their rosters together. They're going to be throwing around money like crazy. They're going to have to lock people down, because you can't just I think in the past, you keep it in the back of your mind of, well, yeah, we'd really like to get this guy, but we're not going to overpay right now because maybe this one's going to hit the portal in a few weeks, or let everybody spend their money now and we'll kind of wait it out and be patient, and we'll be able to get the big fish that come available later. No, there's none of that anymore. Okay, the pool, all the fish are going to be in the sea after those 2 weeks, and you got to go out there and get them. Arkansas has to go get a starting center. They have to go get a starting 4-man. They have to get their front court depth, Maybe they'll need to go get shooting. Maybe they won't, but they're going to have some very defined needs they're going to have to go address. So then what is that going to look like? Because they've been pursuing guys in the 2027 class who are considered to be hot reclass candidates. They would be into 2026 class and would arrive on campus in the summer to play on next year's team. I think about 5-star 7-footer Obinna Akizi. That's one Arkansas has been pursuing and recruiting him for 2026. Paulo Sarui is another 6'10", 5-star forward. And, I think if Arkansas has it their way, they would add a couple of their front court pieces in the portal, go add your 2 starters, at the 4 and the 5. And, maybe you add some depth, but maybe you hold off a little bit and try to nab one of these guys as well. I don't know. It's all going to depend on timing, right? Because I'm thinking about big men who are late reclasses, and I remember whoever it was that JJ's team was playing in the finals at Peach Jam. Was it the Wrens, New York Wrens? But they had the big fella that reclassed after Peach Jam, and he wound up at, where did he wind up going? Providence or Seton Hall or somewhere in the Big East over there. Maybe it was Marquette, actually. But anyway, my point is, will Arkansas be full by then? Or maybe it's one of the deals where they have their 8 guys or 9 guys or whatever willing to take another if the right thing comes along, which Cal has said in the past. Maybe that'd be the right thing. Then all of a sudden a guy like that becomes available and you go get him. So a lot of things to work through. We got to see what retention looks like, who's coming back, who goes to the draft. What does the pool of big men look like in the transfer portal? I imagine a lot of schools are tampering, including Arkansas, right? In terms of trying to put the bug in the ear of who they might want out there. But it's going to be really, really fascinating to follow. I'm looking forward to that. What I was not necessarily looking forward to was having these freshmen be a big part of this. Jordan Smith Jr. is such a big piece. And you remember how much time we spent last spring and summer going, well, they could have offered Keyshawn Hall this money, or they could have pursued Lamar Wilkerson harder or whatever, but they're kind of waiting on Nate Ament to see what he's going to do. And he drug it out and drug it out and drug it out. He ultimately wound up at Tennessee. And there's just several guys in this particular class who are doing that. Jordan Smith Jr. was at the top of that board for Arkansas. Cal did a great job of getting him to shut this thing down early and get committed and get on board. That's a heck of a foundation piece to have on next year's squad. And we got a squad this year that's looking really, really good so far. So going to get out of here. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Little breaking news, right? Little Friday evening episode of the Pot at the Palace. That's really, really good stuff. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the Auburn preview. But a good day for Razorback fans. Jordan Smith Jr. is a hog. Everybody have a good day. We'll catch you next time.